The March 6, 2025 regular session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Pastor Richmond Owusu, pastor of the Grace Depot Church, is our chaplain of the day. Councilman Stacy Streetman will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Owusu, if you would, please come to the well, and I'll invite the members and the audience to please stand.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity tonight. Shall we pray? Lord God, we are grateful for the city of Clarksville. We thank you for everything that you've been doing in this city. Thank you for the mayor and his leaders that you have brought to this city to see the well-being and the development of this wonderful city. We thank you for their lives and every single thing that you are doing with them. Lord, I pray first and foremost, I ask for your divine presence as they deliberate over issues. You have said in your word that a city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. We pray that Clarksville will be that city that is set on a hill, that the light of this city will keep on shining and draw more people unto you. I pray for your wisdom. I pray for the spirit of understanding over the leaders. I ask that, Lord, you will direct them, you will show them the path that they should go, that you will speak to them even anytime that they gather to reason and think about this city, that the words that they will think about and the words that will come out of their mouth will be inspired by your spirit. Lord, I pray for the peace of Clarksville. I pray for the unity of this city. I pray that you continue to guide our leaders. You will direct them. They will walk in your path. Your presence will be with them. Your presence will guide them. That the people that you are even bringing to this city, they will be men and women of peace. We pray for protection over Clarksville. We pray for protection over surrounding areas of this city. We pray that you will make a hedge of fire, that the peace of Jerusalem, you said we should pray for the peace of Jerusalem. So we also pray for the peace of the city of Clarksville. Lord, you have done it before in the past, and we know we are calling on you this day that you will do the same thing for our leaders. We pray that as they've gathered together tonight to think about this city, I pray for the spirit of wisdom to move among them. I pray that justice will prevail in this city. I pray that your perfect will that you have established for this city will be established. Lord, one thing I know, according to your word, that before this city was even formed, you have ordained everything that will transpire before time. And so, Lord, we ask that your purpose, your will, and your counsel for the city of Clarksville will prevail in the name of Jesus. Lord, we pray one more time. We ask, oh God, that these leaders are vessels. You said in your word that we should pray for our leaders, those that you have set authority over us. Lord, I pray for each of them individually, and I pray for people that are even in this room right now. I ask in the name of your precious son Jesus, that you fill them with your spirit, you empower them even in times of their weaknesses. Lord, they are human, and you have set them over this city. So I pray that you equip them by your spirit, you empower them, that they will lead this city to the right direction that you have ordained. Lord, we thank you, and we know that what you have begun to do in this city is just the beginning. We pray that the city of Clarksville's light will keep shining to the other, and it will shine brighter and brighter to the uttermost part of this world. And so, Lord, we are grateful that a time is coming soon that when cities in Tennessee are being mentioned, Clarksville will not be left out, because you will do great things in this city and great things among our leaders. And so we pray that you have your own way tonight as they've gathered to deliberate over issues and well-being of this city. We give you all the praise and we give you all the glory. We pray this in the precious name of your son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
All members are present with the exception of Councilman McLaughlin, who is excused.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is Planning Commission report. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, will you please read the items before us?
Ordinance 52, 2024-25, first reading. This item was postponed at the February 6th meeting. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of PB&J for a zone change on property fronting on Manning Heights at the northeast corner of the Riverside Drive and Cumberland Drive intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to PUD Planned Unit Development District. Ordinance 57, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders for a zone change on property fronting on the north frontage of Airport Road, 155 plus or minus feet east of the eastern intersection of Airport Road and Tandy Drive from R4 Multiple Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 58, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Infinity Investment, LLC, for a zone change on a parcel located at the southeast corner of Hillsborough Road and Binks Drive from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 59, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mike Greenfield for a zone change on a tract of land south of the Ashland City Road and Chesterfield Drive intersection from C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District and R4 Multiple Family Residential District to M1 Light Industrial District. Ordinance 60, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for a zone change on property west of Summerfield Drive, south of Barbie Lane, north of Silver Star Drive, from R1A Single Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District, and Ordinance 61, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of RL Home LLC for a zone change on property south of Britton Springs Road, east of Center Road, from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District.
Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move we go into public hearing.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to public hearing. Without objection, we are now in public hearing. First item is item A, ordinance 52, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of PB&J. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 52? If you would give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, I'm Bryce Powers, representing PB&J. You guys have seen this application before, at least a lot of you have from last year. It's a very similar application. We feel like we brought a very solid plan before you in the form of a planned unit development that provides much needed affordable housing in the downtown area. I think we can all agree that this part of Riverside Drive needs some revitalization, needs some redevelopment, and we feel like this particular project, being at the very end of that, could be what starts that process going. I think we all, for City of Clarksville, want Riverside Corridor to improve, so we feel like this project could begin that process. This area was designated as an opportunity zone, which indicates that the leadership of Clarksville and Montgomery County believe that this area should be encouraged to invest in. And the point of that is to give investors a little incentive in order to take the risk of stepping into a project that might be a little more risky in an area that does need redevelopment. I think one fact is simply indisputable that people are moving to Clarksville. That doesn't matter whether this project gets approved or not approved, but people are moving to Clarksville and they need housing opportunities. We think that providing some denser housing in a downtown area has a lot of benefits. That you already have city infrastructure. You already have electric lines, water lines, sewer lines, streets. We have the infrastructure. We're not stretching our city services, which is why we think this is a good place for this project. When we do allow development in the core downtown, like I said, you utilize existing city services, not to stretch, causing budget constraints to have new and additional services. It also puts people in the vicinity of the projects we're investing in as a community, the impact, the downtown parks, the greenway system. We're putting people in those areas by bringing them into the core downtown, as opposed to maybe on the outskirts of the city limits like we often see. And again, revitalizing an area could be a domino effect. As soon as one project goes, the next project may go, and all of a sudden we have a Riverside corridor that looks much different than it does today. We understand there's opposition from the neighbors, and we respect that. And we have tried, as we designed this plan, to keep that in consideration as we kept our building closer to Riverside Drive as we could, providing some screening, some of the improvements that the city departments asked for, things like that. But there's also been a lot of emails with some incorrect information, like land being taken from people from their houses to widen a road. That's simply not true. The widening that's proposed is well within the right-of-way that's there. There's claims of severe slopes that make the project a difficult thing, and in truth, it's a 3-to-1 slope, which is an engineered slope that's considered mowable with an average lawnmower. So for every 3 foot out, it drops 1 foot. That's the slope off Mr. Jensen's property that is referred to several times. There's claims that traffic's going to get much worse. However, we provided at the city council's request last year a traffic study that clearly showed, and it was reviewed by the street department. Keep that in mind. They reviewed it, said it's acceptable, and said that this project's not going to cause an adverse impact to traffic. Riverside Drive and 4813, the intersection, I drive through it many, many times a day. It is tough from 7 o'clock to 8:15 and from about 4:30 to 6 o'clock. But other than that, that functions pretty well, and the traffic study reflected that. There's also been recent assertions of flooding at the intersection of Edge Hill Drive and Riverside Drive, and some pictures I think were provided to you guys. I mean, there's a ponding problem, a drainage problem there, but it's not flooding. It's a TDOT needs to address whatever drainage problem they have there at the Dairy Queen intersection. There's been assertions of property values dropping. I would actually counter that, say redevelopment in an area actually has the absolute opposite effect. It's going to cause property values to soar there in a good way. It gives these people opportunities to have more value in their homes. And crime. Crime is always mentioned, and it always baffles me that the assumption is if you live in an apartment, you must be a criminal, because that comes up every time multifamily is brought up. And I think that's very stereotypical and inappropriate. We just simply ask you to make this decision based on the facts. The fact that this PUD is presented, it's been approved by the city, the Regional Planning Commission staff, Regional Planning Commission voting body, and they believe it's solid in its facts. And we just want you to make this decision on facts, not the emotion in the room. And it's also need to mention, remember, we have another hill to climb. If we pass this body, we still got to go to TDOT, get right away. That may or may not ever happen, but this is the first step, and we have to take this step first. So just keep that in mind too. Again, approved unanimously, RPC staff, RPC voting. We just ask for your same approval here tonight. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we do have questions. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Powers, you referenced the fact that this was in an opportunity zone. I know I'm aware of what an opportunity zone is, but can you talk a little bit about that? I don't want it to be confused with TIF or anything else like that. If you could just specifically talk about that and the constraints that it being an opportunity zone puts on you.
I think it's a good point. So Opportunity Zone has no public funds. It's merely we keep the project for 10 years, and there's a tax advantage after 10 years. So this is not a project we would build, turn around and sell tomorrow. This is a 10-year play for this investment group because the Opportunity Zone rules require you keep it for 10 years.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for explaining that, Mr. Bryce Powers. I appreciate what you have brought before us, and I see you tried to answer some of the concerns of the constituents, which I've tried to answer some too, and I may not have done a great job, but I heard you say that it would bring more value to the properties of the homes there. Can you explain to me how it would bring more value to the homes in that area?
Yes, ma'am. And I might use a parallel, like out in the edges of town, as one farm develops into a subdivision, the next farm becomes more valuable because it's appealing to developers. And you have that, when you have development energy and growth energy in an area, it tends to raise property values. I'm not saying their taxes are going to go up. I'm saying what they could sell their home for goes up significantly because of the energy in the area.
You know, normally, from my experience and looking at home values with apartments being there, it kind of brings the value down. Because from the standpoint of these apartments up here on Wilma Rudolph Boulevard over there to your left, they renamed them. We had a lot of complaints from all of those apartments there in that neighborhood. And the people came in and talked about how it ruined their homes, value. There was no peace. There was always problems, a lot of police calls. And so I just think that the residents are worried about, you know, is there going to be peace in that neighborhood? Is it going to be, I don't know. I don't know. I just think that it brings the value down because when you have a lot of different people living in that area, what would be the average price of one of those units? I think it's 72 units. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, 72 units. We've not put any pricing on that. I mean, it'll be at what market is.
Will it be income based or?
No, ma'am.
It won't,
No,
okay.
ma'am. No,
You
no,
have a set
right.
price.
No, it'll be our market price product. And as I mentioned, you know, I don't think there's any actual, we hear property values are going to drop because of this project happening near me. I don't think there's any data that backs that up. I think it's actually, as I mentioned, quite the opposite. If this project goes in and Big Lots turns into a grocery store and development starts happening around there, that makes people want to live there more. And values, you know, not the assessor's value, but value is what you could sell it for today is based off someone's willingness to buy it. And so if something great is happening in the area, people want to be there, that means the value goes up. And as I mentioned, that's got to be separated from their tax assessed value. That's a different thing.
Well, I don't think it's a food desert in that area because there are several places to eat down there, around there, the grocery stores, you got mini markets and so I don't know, but I just have a lot of feedback on this being developed. Not that I'm against development. I'm for development, but when it's not going to infringe up on the lives of people who have been in their homes for years. And so I appreciate you trying to answer the questions, and thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Two of the things that were brought up a lot, one of them was, are you going to have a percentage set aside for Section 8?
Not at all. That's never been
Okay.
discussed. No.
Okay, so that was one of the concerns that was brought up a lot. And then I talked to a lot of the residents on Manning Heights, and they were concerned that a lot of people they come from Cumberland Drive and they come from Riverside Drive, and they use Manning Heights as a cutaway. They'll drive down there to get from Cumberland to Riverside or Riverside to Cumberland during like peak traffic hours. Will you, on your plans, I didn't see any, but will you have any speed calming measures on that street at all?
We're certainly willing to do that. The street department talked about signage more than traffic calming measures. I mean, but doing a speed hump or something is a very simple thing to do and something we're happy to do. Just hasn't really been talked about, to be honest with you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Powers? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of Ordinance 52? Just as a reminder, we allow two people to speak in favor, two people to speak against, and then we allow rebuttal on each side. If you'll give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I am Janet Wilson. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Clarksville Montgomery County Economic Development Council. So we are here in full support of the Manning Heights project because we believe it represents a critical step forward, not just for this site, but for the broader vision of Riverside Drive and our city's future. At the EDC, we get frequently asked what's being done to improve Riverside Drive. It's a question we hear almost weekly from stakeholders across the community. While we deeply appreciate the businesses that are already there, we also recognize the immense opportunity before us. This project is an initial piece of that puzzle. So why is the Manning Heights project, why does it matter? So one, it's a strategic gateway location. This development will enhance a critical entry point to our city. It includes commercial retail opportunities and promotes a denser population, supporting local businesses and overall economic vitality. It includes, the projected tax revenue increases roughly from $2,700 to approximately $180,000 per year. That's a significant boost to the city's financial health. It's a prime site across from Liberty Park. Liberty Park is the crown jewel of our city's park system, and the city has made substantial investments to make it a premier destination. The ongoing efforts to connect this area to downtown through walkways and greenways only enhance its appeal. The alignment with the comprehensive plan. The project aligns with the Regional Planning Commission's comprehensive plan, which this body approved just last year. Strengthening the downtown's future. We often hear the phrase, retail follows rooftops. More housing means more customers for local businesses, helping them thrive rather than just get by. So while this project isn't located directly on Franklin Street, data consistently shows that increasing population density strengthens the entire downtown ecosystem. And smart growth on available land. This is a vacant site, ready for development. What better use than a project that drives economic growth and enhances the area? So really, this is our call to invest in progress. As city leaders, you carry the responsibility of ensuring sustainability. When local investors, citizens of Clarksville, are willing to put millions of dollars into revitalizing an area that strengthens the city's tax base, we should welcome that investment. This project is not just about one development, it's about the long-term transformation of Riverside Drive. And lastly, a broader perspective. At the Downtown Clarksville Association meetings, we regularly discuss how to support local businesses and drive foot traffic downtown. Some restaurant and business owners are seeing declining sales. While municipal investments are important, we must also ask, are we creating an environment where businesses can thrive? Clarksville has a unique character shaped by our small businesses and local entrepreneurs. Without a growing residential base to support them, we risk losing that identity. Manning Heights is a step toward changing that narrative, one that leads to smart, sustainable progress. A vote for this is a vote for progress on Riverside Drive. I appreciate your time and consideration. If you have any.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Wilson? Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I think we've all gotten the emails and the phone calls, and I can speak for Ward 7. The majority of Ward 7 is very much against this, and I know a giant bulk of Ward 6 is against it as well. It really begs to question just how in favor everybody is the powers that be within our government. Do the residents of Clarksville not get a say?
I'm a resident of Clarksville.
Do you live near this site?
Fairly, but I'm still a resident of Clarksville.
Okay, so we got one resident. I just
And I'm
think-
speaking, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm speaking on behalf of the Economic Development Council and then our EDC, our Economic Development Council Board.
Yeah, well, we talk about grocery store, we talk about retail. The neighborhood doesn't want it, but just food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Wilson? Thank you. If you are against Ordinance 52, you're invited to come up. We allow 2 people to speak against Ordinance 52. If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Charlotte Nelms. I live at 1056 Manning Heights. We as residents and neighbors still oppose this zone change and proposed construction. This proposed 4-story and 5-story PUD is located at the south end of the South Clarksville planning area, 1 mile from downtown. It is not downtown. Most all concerns with this property are associated with the density of occupancy of the proposed building and the issues arising from the density. Issues related to the slope of the land, as proposed cut down and the danger it poses to the nearest neighbor's home. The issue of increased stormwater runoff generated by removal of water-thirsty trees and the addition of more asphalt. And where does this water go? Unchecked into puddles on Riverside, Edge Hill, into the marina, into the Cumberland River. The topography of Edge Hill is very steep. The road is narrow and prone to erosion. Two vehicles currently have difficulty passing each other. This parcel development potentially could create more noise and per dense occupancy, more light illuminating the parking areas, more noise from industrial garbage pickup, and there will be a lot of garbage generated, and excessive traffic out of sync with the quiet neighborhood. I still shudder at Manning Heights emptying into the PUD parking lot with car and truck traffic trying to pass through. Vehicles parked on both sides, backing up after loading and unloading, and trying to exit while incoming traffic enters to pass through. The number of parking spots is inadequate for visiting guests generated by the pavilion. Therefore, overflow will be an issue. PUD tenants desiring to use Liberty Park must do so by driving Cumberland Drive to the park entrance because there are no current pedestrian ways to get across Riverside, nor are there sidewalks in the R1 neighborhood. Pedestrian must walk in the roads. Although this site is situated on the corner of Cumberland Drive and Riverside, the common access is Manning Heights or Edge Hill Drive. Manning Heights parallels Cumberland Drive, and a wide U-turn must be made to enter or exit. If Manning Heights is formally designated two-way, the entrance and exit on Cumberland becomes more dangerous. Widening will not solve this issue. The sight lines, visibility from and to the approaching traffic are very difficult at this entrance, especially for the resident that lives at the entrance. Tragedy could strike in an instant. We want safe streets. We oppose widening Manning Heights to an 18-foot wide two-way road. Manning Heights is not consistently 16 feet wide, but is only 11 feet wide at several locations. Widening on the Cumberland side would jeopardize the integrity of the limestone hillside and trees overhanging Cumberland Drive. Widening the road by reducing residents' properties would also destroy our beautiful tree-lined street with the removal of said trees. If this proposal is passed and TDOT is encouraged to include land for additional parking, you may create an issue whereby any future expansion of the right turn lane from Cumberland to Riverside is forfeited and backup will continue to increase at the Cumberland-Riverside intersection. As to the proposed 72 unit helping to attract a grocery to replace Big Lots, consider that people who live in apartments do not buy as many groceries as families who live in houses. Apartment dwellers often order their food delivered, which would add to more traffic on Manning Heights, Edge Hill, and Riverside. We are not a food desert. We have Food Lion just 6 minutes away on 4813. We are not opposed to all future development on that site, and we see that Riverside needs development as per the new comprehensive plan. What we are adamantly opposed is the extreme density on a site that does not have adequate infrastructure support and is out of sync with the R1 neighborhood. Therefore, do not rezone this property from R1 to PUD. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Nelms? See, Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
Ma'am, you remember talking to me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know, when I left your property, I tried to talk to Mr. Jensen. He didn't answer. But I did go back down Manning Heights and try to go down Edge Hill. Someone was coming back down the opposite way and
Yes.
tried to pass me. You remember when you were telling me someone got stuck in that ditch?
Yes.
Their front tire did go into that side of the ditch.
Goes into the ditch.
But
Yeah.
that's all I had. I
You
appreciate
should have
it.
seen the big garbage truck today. Tried to turn around.
I can only imagine. Thanks, ma'am.
Any other questions for Ms. Nelms? Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 52? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Can this be passed out now?
It can be, it'll be distributed at the conclusion of your remarks.
All right. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight and for the members of the community that are present. The rezoning and development of Clarksville has
If you
become-
would, give us your name, please.
My name is Jennifer Ware, and I live in this neighborhood.
Last name?
Ware.
Where? Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
The rezoning and development of Clarksville has become irresponsible and inconsiderate of those of us that have made Clarksville our home. While once voted the best city in the nation, Clarksville has been making national headlines because of embarrassing choices in this endeavor for a rapid residential density increase. The tiny homes and excessive apartment complexes are killing the small town, hometown appeal that initially brought a wave of new residents to our city. The city is allowing developers to rezone and build in known swamps and floodplains that have always been avoided until now. Right this moment, we have Clarksville residents displaced from their homes that are still underwater after 2 weeks. So we ask, where is the city considering, and most importantly, enforcing and requiring plans for better traffic, drainage, sewage, and runoff in these high-density plans? Our group is not opposed to growth and development. We are opposed to the irresponsible and negligent development, which is what this proposed PUD is. In contrast to our quiet neighborhood, this high-density PUD is being opposed on the intersection where we currently have a massive open sinkhole. In addition to 2 flood zones that are in opposite corners of the intersections, the church and Liberty Park. Not to mention this intersection is where 3 5-lanes of highway come together. So we ask, what is the goal of this PUD? For reference, please refer to the documents that I've given here. These are the best practice guidelines available on the RPC website that I've printed and provided. So the first question, there's some notes here, is what is a PUD? And I quote, a PUD is a zoning type which allows for increased flexibility in design standards for the purpose of promoting more desirable living arrangements and lasting value. Yet this so-called PUD is no different than any other apartment complex that we've seen in this area, where a fire pit and a dog fence is being called a public development. I think most of us would call that our backyard. So putting a fancy name on it and cramming 200 people into 200 acres and giving it the name of a PUD is hardly creating a desirable living environment for future tenants and especially not the current residents. So more specifically, looking at this best practices, there are 4 of the 5 considerations we want to highlight. Question 1 is, what does a PUD align? Does this PUD align with the design best practices? And we say no. The first example given on this document here says, do not locate public open spaces surrounded by parking, roads, and impervious surfaces. Yet this is exactly what's proposed here. We have amenities that are flanked by a parking lot with through traffic, and the other side is a parking lot with a dead end. What kind of consideration is this for the kids, pets, delivery, traffic, and emergency vehicles that will be going through this area? Second, right here, the second example, do not sever potential existing or future street connections. Yet we see here that there's a dead end where the property does not actually finish through to Edge Hill that would alleviate traffic or at least move traffic. Not to mention, where's the garbage truck and emergency vehicles turning around in this scenario? Question 2, does this PUD align with the goals of the comprehensive plan and the growth plan? No. What happens when this intersection is expanded after the current high-density housing is completed along highways 13, 12, and Riverside that are all feeding into this intersection? Without a doubt, this intersection will need widening just as Madison and 76th, 2nd and Providence, and so on across Clarksville. So it's important to note, again, that this entire proposal is conditional to the developer obtaining Manning Heights right-of-way from TDOT. Given the growth plan, why would TDOT sell the right-of-way to a private developer only to buy it back 5 to 10 years later for the expansion of this intersection? Question 3, is this development needed in this area? We do not feel it is. Not on a busy corner that requires acquiring private property, state property, for the use of a private developer. nor on a corner that's without safe access to Riverside and Cumberland Drive. Last question, will the property adjacent to the PUD be adversely affected? Absolutely. Noise, litter, traffic, security. Don't forget the land grabbing, decreased home values, and literally the home next door will have a dumpster pad for 200 people.
Ms. Ware, your
along-
time is up.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for Ms. Ware? Thank you very much. We'll now have time for rebuttal. If you're in favor of Ordinance 52 and wish to offer rebuttal, that is one person, 3 minutes. If you would, please give us your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Sure, Bryce Powers again. And we certainly understand the emotion in the room regarding neighbors, but we really think we have provided a plan that meets the standards of the comprehensive plan and gives us an opportunity to revitalize Riverside Drive. Reiterating the $180,000 tax increase annually that the city will receive if this project is constructed. And the city council members, you guys are tasked with doing what's best for the whole city of Clarksville, while still representing your constituency. So it's worth mentioning. Sometimes it's hard you have to make a hard decision, and hopefully it's for the good of all of Clarksville, for the growth of Clarksville, for the revitalization of Riverside Drive. And we think this is a great opportunity for Clarksville, and just ask for your vote again. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Powers? Thank you. If you are against Ordinance 52 and wish to offer a rebuttal, we have one person, and you will have 3 minutes, please. They'll be distributed after you're finished. You'll pull the microphone down and give us your name.
Absolutely. I'm Jennifer Ware, and I will finish with, we ask what kind of precedence is being set again when a private developer is approved for rezoning that requires acquiring state and private homeowners' property to be minimally acceptable as a PUD. We have listened time and again and have been told that this intersection does not have traffic issues. Those of us that live here or commute through this intersection find this conclusion quite laughable. We already see that commuters use Manning Heights and Edge Hill Drive as a means of bypassing the traffic on Riverside and Cumberland. An additional 200 vehicles from residents and guests will most definitely have an impact on the intersection's traffic flow and safety. The RPC building and site development comments state that this design is acceptable because the two-story next to this PUD will be above the floor of the apartment complex. However, it fails to convey that this home is on a teetering vertical drop engineered by the developer, most likely with dynamite, given the limestone beneath these properties. When we asked about this before, the council was told if anything goes awry, this is why the contractors have insurance. That's completely blatant disregard to the current homeowners and certainly does not promote a more desirable living condition that a PUD is to create. We've collected a number of photos that demonstrate why this PUD adversely affects the immediate neighbors and the growth plan for Clarksville. Your vote is meant to represent our voices, and our voices are trying to tell you that we do not agree with this growth in this department. I come before you now because our community will no longer be silent. As the city inundates neighborhoods, removes public parks, and lets our homes be flooded or blown away due to neglectful infrastructure and inadequate development plans. Our coalition of voices are those standing behind me now, the 500+ signatures on the petition that I've given you here, the hundreds of commenters on social media in response to the developers' lobbying publications in Clarksville Now, and the Mason Rudolph group made of constituents across the city that oppose this project. And just rebutting what he said as far as a food desert, again, as Ms. Smith said, we have countless numbers of food available to us, grocery stores within 6 to 8 minutes of this location. I don't know if anyone's seen the news, but Big Lots is not leaving because Clarksville's location is being reopened and will be here to stay. So putting a grocery store there, again, is a great lobbyist move, but is irrelevant to what the needs and wants of this community are. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our public hearing agenda is item B, Ordinance 57, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 57? Give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, City Council. My name's Ricky Rita. I've been up here a lot. I want to welcome the new members here of the City Council. Today is a R6 zoning this R6 zoning, we've been battling back and forth for 6.5 months now. Who gets it? Who don't get it? What's the comprehensive plan? I think,
I think, Mr. Rita, you're talking about the next item. This item is, the one frontage on Airport Road, and you're going from R4 to R2A.
yes, I can switch gears there too.
All right? You have 4 minutes and 23 seconds.
Oh, man. All right. This property on Tandy Drive is a thin stretch of property. It's 40 foot wide. It's R4. It got trapped in the development when they were doing the apartments back in the day, and it's just not got a lot of land for nothing. The court sold the property. I got it through the MLS, through the real estate agents, so I bought it through the court system. It's the right thing to do. It's an R2A. I think it's the right thing to do, and it seems like R2A is the new zone that's supposed to replace the R6. And I can agree with that. I've been agreeing with that for a couple months of 7 months now, that the R6 is a tough zoning coming in forward. But I would like to talk about the water population in my next 3 minutes on what we can do on our water situation. We need a budget.
Mr. Rita, please stick to the zoning.
Yes, sir. I don't know if I've got a water issue over there, and I don't think I do, not at all, but I do want to talk about some of that other stuff. I wish some council would reach out to me. I'm great to talk with. I'll go sit down at your house, at your neighbor's house, anywhere we got to go to make the consumer happy with what the developer's doing out here today.
Is that it?
Yes, sir. Any questions?
Any questions? We do have questions. Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
So I asked Mr. Tyndall last week, do you have any plans for this property at all?
I do.
You do?
I do. Yes, sir. It's 40 foot wide,
Yeah.
and it's about, I can't tell you how long it is. 800 foot long.
Yeah. I went out there the other day and I was just sitting there staring at it for the longest time. I'm just going, it's not even long enough to make a football field.
It's not, but it's a perfect size for R2A.
Okay.
And R2A starts at 40 foot wide.
Yeah.
And you put a house and condense it down. So it'd be one rental,
Yeah.
or maybe I hate to say affordable home, because I don't know if the word exists with lots
Yeah.
costing
The big A or little A,
$100,000 a lot. It's really expensive.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Councilman Streetman.
Thank you. Mine's not as much of a question, or I guess I'm not sure if you're aware that we do have public comment period at the end of executive sessions and the beginning of regular sessions where you can talk about other topics outside of zoning.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ms. Streetman.
Any other questions for Mr. Rita? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 57? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 57? Next item is item C, Ordinance 58, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Infinity Investment LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 58? Should have just gotten a chair up front. Mr. Rita, give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name's Ricky Rita, builder, developer, car broker. I grew up in this neighborhood. This is 3 blocks away from property that we own today. We still own the home that we grew up in on Park Lane. I feel 50% of this property out of 800 homes is rental. We have several rentals in this neighborhood. Other investors have several renters through the many years that it's been here. This neighborhood, I would guess, was built 61. So these homes got some age on them. This is really getting into some of the perfect zoning of R2A. I know that. But I can't get consistent. It's 7 months now. I've had many zones come through here on R6. I'm being confused. I'm being diverted. I'm being everything right now. 7 months ago, the new council didn't hear it, but it was very vocal between the regional planning, the city council, myself, and what are we going to ask for R6 and where are we going to ask for it? I had a case on Dotsonville Road. a good case, one that I feel should have went through, but it didn't meet the comp plans that the county's got. Everyone agreed that it probably was an R2A, but I went for an R6. I thought at that time, because we brought up a Lafayette property that has 7 acres of R6 on it. Council people were quite surprised there was that many lots on 7 acres of R6. So we gathered up talk between some of the council, and I passed my R6 zoning on Dotsonville Road. I passed it. First session, first reading session, passed across the board. It comes back in October, it gets voted down. So that gave a lot of the talk on why R6 should move back to where the comp plan is. That is downtown. I'm okay with that. December, I'm 1 day late on filing my permit at the regional planning. I turned it in for R2A for Hillsborough Road. John Spainhauer, we talked about it. I turned it in R2A. In January, here we come in. I'm 1,800 foot from 12 acres of R6 getting approved. Right here. The new council didn't get to see the old votes and the old comments and the old minutes. And I get it. So let's land the plane on what are we going to ask for R6 and where are we going to give it. Let's don't spot zone. I had a councilman reach out in that meeting, was like, did Mr. Rita say we spot zone? I'm seeing spot zoning right now. In January, the general session voted across the board for 12 acres on Peaches Mill Road to be R6. I'm 1,800 foot away from the northwest corner of it. 1,800 foot. That's less than, that's a quarter mile. I know it's not in favor tonight. I can respect it. But when I was 1 day late on that meeting, I asked John Spainhauer, I said, cancel that request. They just voted R6, 1,800 foot away from me. Let's turn the permit at R6. Here I am tonight. I just want to get consistent. I didn't want to spend $1,400, but I'll spend it to just kind of put a point out there that was spot zoning. Comprehensive plans says it's not supposed to be over there. I didn't get it on Dotsonville because it's not supposed to be over there. I get it. I honestly turned in an R2A form. So I'm confused. I don't know what directions to go when it's back and forth. I had some council reach out to me. They're not in favor of it. And I'm not either. But I just got to let you hear this. And everybody here, my phone's available. Somewhere we have to quit spot zoning. I'm not going to make you vote on this tonight because it's not the right vote. I'm going to defer it. I'll decide then if I'm going to take it down. And then I'm going to come back with my R2A. But I ask tonight that we just get together and we stop it. It's for one area or it's for everybody. Thank you. And is there any questions?
That's my line. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We of course have to vote to defer it. Are you wanting it deferred or are you wanting it sent back to the RPC for it to be zoned, to be relooked at as R2A?
Is that a question?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. We have the power tonight that I don't have to go spend $1,400 more to take it in front of
We
them.
have sent stuff back before with, stating that it was wanted to be looked at as something else. I'm just wanting to know what it is you're wanting us to do here tonight because it's too late for you to defer it or you to withdraw it. It's up to us as a council to be able to do that. So if we're deferring it another month, you have the opportunity to then withdraw it between now and next month. I'm just trying to figure out what you're asking of this body tonight.
I think I can save the time. If we can take it back to the regional and I don't have to re-permit, I want to go back for R2A where I was in December, but I was 1 day late on my permit going in to be in front of y'all in January. And that's the only reason. So I'm asking y'all to vote tonight to let me take that back forward to R2A on the Hillsborough project.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Streetman, do you understand what the applicant's requesting?
I do. I
Okay.
understand he's asking us to send it back and have them reconsider it as an R2A.
Okay.
And you've done it, you have applied twice already, correct? Because if you withdraw it, it's
I-
done for a year.
No, I don't want to withdraw it. Don't do that.
If you ask it, if we defer it and then you withdraw it because you want to do it as R2A, it's done for almost a year until, back to when you originally applied for it.
I want to go back in front of the regional and ask them for an R2A what this property should be. I was just explaining my position on why it went from R2A to R6.
So you want it sent back to the RPC?
I would like that, yes, ma'am.
Uh,
Without
I'm-
deferring me for a year.
I'm just getting clarification to ensure that
Yes.
we're doing what's being requested of us here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 58? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 58? Next item is item D, ordinance 59, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mike Greenfield. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 59? If you would, give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name's Clay Greenfield. Our current location was destroyed by fire in January, and we determined that the logical next step was to build on this particular property that we already owned. It was approved unanimously by the Planning Commission. I don't anticipate any objection because we literally don't have any immediate neighbors. The property has natural barriers on all four sides. There's a creek on one side, wetlands across the back and on the left side, and then across the street is a rock bluff with trees on top, woods basically. And my number one goal with this property is to have a beautiful building that we're proud of, that we can pass down to my kids when the time comes. We want to effectively use this as a marketing tool. We want everything that we do will be with aesthetics in mind. We want my goal is for everyone to drive by to ask someone, hey, have y'all seen the new Greenfield place? It looks really nice. So we want to improve the area, and if you have any questions, I would love to get your support.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a simple question. What are your hours of operation?
We are the office hours are Monday through Friday, 7 to 4 o'clock. That is with the office. Now, construction equipment may be coming in as whenever jobs end. That most of the time, I mean, we try to be back by 5, but sometimes the job will run over by
It's like
a couple hours.
5:36. I mean, at latest, do you think?
I mean, at latest, we work all over Middle Tennessee. So sometimes say if we're working in Murfreesboro, we might be, might be coming in, 7, 8 o'clock. But on a normal day, it would be in the 5:36 range.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Greenfield? Seeing none, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 59? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 59? Next item is item E, ordinance 60, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 60? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 60? Next item is item F, ordinance 61, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of RL Home LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 61? If you would, give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Jonathan Blick, 2015 Mossy Oak Circle. Here on behalf of RL Homes, it's Raul Lozano. He's the sole owner of that. He is our framer, actually, long-term friend. So I'm just filling in for him a little bit. He's out of town. He thought this was going to be going to the county because this is on a city and county shared state road, or not state road, but road. So half of it is in the city limits and half of it is in the county. We are just asking for R4 on this lot. We currently own a property across the street from it, which is branching from that R4, is the reason why, and that is actually in the county. We've built 10 triplexes on the center road where this is located, and we're looking to do the same. They're all R4 zoning. We could definitely do more with that square footage than the triplexes, but we've chose to do the triplexes because they are a little bit more affordable, and anything under a 4-unit complex can be bought by an owner occupant, which they'll have on a 30-year loan, which would make it a lot more affordable with some income opportunity for those other units. So our thought is to offer it to the VA population and have that property pay for itself over that 30-year period. I do have some pictures of the examples, and I'll do that at the end. But Raul, he's got a little bit of a language barrier and a little bit of stage fright, so he couldn't come up here tonight. But he's just asking for an opportunity like the rest of the street. The only thing that's different on this one is it's in the city limits. So we're looking to either do a triplex as we've done in the past, or maybe 2 duplexes and be able to sell those individually through a just sell them individually. So I'll take any questions that you might have, and I'll hand these out.
If you'll give those to Sergeant Tranberg. Any questions for Mr. Blick? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 61? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 61? All right. Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I move we go back into regular session.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to regular session without objection. We're now in regular session. Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. As I've said before, based on the recommendation of our legal department, all motions are in the form of approval. Ordinance 52, 2024, 25, first reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of PB&J for a zone change on property fronting on Manning Heights at the northeast corner of Riverside Drive and Cumberland Drive intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to PUD Planned Unit Development District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 52. Any comment or question regarding Ordinance 52? Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a handout for you guys real quick here.
If you don't mind speaking to your microphone so people can hear what you're
Sorry,
saying.
I do have a handout for you guys. Sorry about that. Okay. So there are a couple of questions that were asked last week, and I didn't have this map readily available to let you guys know, but it was brought up again tonight, and that is the topic of the food desert. So this map is from USDA, today's date printed on it, and for you, I just got all of Clarksville. The green highlights every location within Clarksville that is considered a food desert, and it's a very specific definition that is used to categorize these areas. One is low income, where a poverty rate of 20% or greater, or a medium income at least or below 80% of the city's family income. And then 2 is low access, so at least 33% of the population within that area live more than 1 mile from a supermarket. And the supermarkets or grocery stores are defined as they have to have the major food departments. So they have to have meat, dairy, produce, frozen foods, deli, and a bakery in order for them to count. So while there may be fast food locations or even like Dollar Generals and similar outlets, they don't count for providing adequate food to the area according to the USDA, and that's why all these green spots around Clarksville are listed as food deserts in our area. And so you guys can keep that because some of them do pertain to other awards here. So that way, we kind of see what's going on with that field. And then the second thing that was asked last week was about vacancy rates. We were given a housing study back in October. There is a link online of Clarksville and the estimates within the next 5 years. One in particular took the multifamily units across Clarksville, and it was 89 units in particular that they researched the price points, bedrooms, and the vacancies. And in Clarksville right now, we have the occupancy rate is 96.3%. So they're almost at capacity, even with consideration of new ones being built. The study tells us that within the next 5 years, so from 2024 to 2029, that we need a total of 6,598 units to come into Clarksville. And again, this is a study that was done by third party researching not just rentals, but single family homes and all that. And there is a page, particularly section 8-5, where it does give you these numbers. That was done in the city, and I would just advise the council not to ignore studies like previous councils of the last 20 years, because that's kind of where we're at with a lot of the issues that we're having, where certain studies have been ignored, and now we need to kind of go back and fix things. So I think that based on the drawings that were given to us, the size of the units are not going to accommodate families. This is literally meant for that one individual who is out in the workforce, graduate high school, and they just need a place to stay without a roommate. Maybe a second individual in the two-bedroom apartment. And I think it could help the area. Thank you.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, sorry.
It's all right.
I'm going to start off by saying, and I'm not going to step on the quasi-governmental agency's toes, but I would like to point out to everybody that wants to listen, and you don't listen, you should, a newspaper article. I can't remember whether it was the Leaf Chronicle or Clarksville Now. And somebody from this agency made the statement that we were being short-sighted because of the conversations that we've had since this first come up. I'm not being short-sighted at all. I don't understand how we figure that 72 units is going to magically build us another Publix, a Kroger Superstore. If you think I'm kidding and you haven't driven it lately, from 6:30 in the morning till about 9 o'clock, Riverside Drive is packed. And again in the evening, it is packed. So I don't understand where that if we put 72 units, all of a sudden we're going to have these stores and everything. One of the comments that Ms. Nome made was, it is not downtown. She's 100% right. This is not going to do anything to increase downtown. Folks, when's the last time you come downtown, especially at night? Last meeting we had, barely found a parking spot. I've heard, well, Clarksville downtown is dying. There's been 5 businesses lost. I don't see it, and if they were business lost, then the people that started them might have wanted to go to something different. Again, I just don't like the idea of being short-sighted, called short-sighted. That sticks in my craw, because I am here to represent not a developer, not a builder. I'm here to represent this entire city. I'm going to give you a little bit of history from this old man here. I'm 70 years old. My grandmother and uncle lived on Woodmont Boulevard. Ever since I was old enough to remember driving past Manning Heights, that is what I would consider a quaint neighborhood that does not need to be disturbed. I've heard, well, if this, but that, if this, but that. I'm going to quote an old saying that a lot of us hear at Christmas. If and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I spoke on this last week. I spoke on this last month. I spoke on this a year ago. And we all received an email today as well from a resident of Clarksville that also lives in Ward 10 that referenced some of the practical reasons that we should look at rezoning this to the PUD. One of those that was said in here is something that I have said, that this could be a catalyst for our river district. Last week, I think it was last week, the ward representative for Ward 2 talked about the plan many a years ago for revitalizing Riverside Drive, and that stayed stagnant. It hasn't gone anywhere. I remember that as well. I remember that even from before the flood occurred in 2010. So many people were wanting to see Riverside Drive revitalized. I've heard from people in the community that say the city should buy a lot of the land along Riverside Drive and they can develop it and make it into the jewel that it should be. But then for everything else that we do, I also hear how the city, this needs to be a private developer. The city is not in this business. Our tax dollars don't need to be spent on that. This is an opportunity for, again, a catalyst to improve that area. And no, you're correct. 72 is not going to make, it's not going to tip it. It's not going to be the one that makes everything happen along Riverside Drive. However, you can't get up a set of stairs without taking the first one. We've got to take steps to do this. This is somebody that's coming in. They're bringing us a plan. It's a planned unit development. This can only very, very slightly. They've told us exactly what it is that they're going to do. We don't always get the opportunity to vote on that. The majority of the times we're sitting up here, we're voting only on a zoning, and they come up here, they tell us exactly what it is that they're gonna do, and they send us and show us plans. This is exactly what I'm gonna do. Please approve my zoning. The zoning ends up going through, and then they can end up coming before the RPC, like just happened in this past week, where somebody had originally come up here and said they were going to do one thing, was told they were going to have to make an improvement. They didn't want to make it, so they tried to come before the Regional Planning Commission and get a variance so that they could do something different than what they were told. This is something, this plan that's coming before us, that doesn't get to happen with this. Again, it can only have a small variance from what's coming before us. Also, as was pointed out by the council person for Ward 2 and Mr. Tyndall, if they don't get this land from TDOT, this deal is done because, as I said, you can only have a small variance. So it's required for them to be able to get this, and there's a long process for them to go through to do it. So you're looking at it could take a year or so to get that done. Then you're looking at it's having to get everything done with all of the building. It's outlined in here potentially how long this project is going to take. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm able to get to everything that I've got on here. I very much appreciate the person from Ward 5 talking about it being a food desert and really explaining why. One of our county commissioners reached out to me and stated the exact same thing. And she had also been involved in trying to bring more grocery stores to our downtown area. That yes, maybe we do have your other type of stores, you do have your gas stations where you can get stuff. That's not a place where you can get healthy food. If you want to be able to get fresh food like she referenced, that's going to require grocery stores. And I can tell you in Ward 10, I'm blessed. On my way home, if I drive Madison Street, I pass 4 grocery stores where I can get fresh produce, fresh food. What can the people that live in the downtown area, and I do consider this to be the beginning of our downtown area. Otherwise, I'm not really sure where downtown starts and where downtown ends. But where are they going other than, again, you've got to drive across the river to be able to get to the grocery store that's over there, but yet we're hearing that the traffic's difficult to get through there. You'd have to drive back the bypass, but there's been complaints with the traffic there. If you're not having to drive as much across town and through everywhere, then you're limiting your trips of where you have to go and how much traffic that you yourself are adding to the process when you are going. Mentioning the traffic on Riverside Drive first thing in the morning. While I do drive home Madison Street on my way home, it's just a habit that I've gotten into because I do work in the downtown area. I drive Riverside every single morning when I'm coming to work. I'm headed in. I'm not running into a massive amount of traffic. I'm not sitting in anything. I'm able to move through it without any issue. I would ask everybody to please really think about this. And again, I know the applicant mentioned there's a lot of emotion in the room, but we have to look at the whole board when we're making decisions. I've had people from my ward that have reached out and have been in favor of this, whether it was via email, whether it was a phone call, whether it was a text. I've received 3 whole emails over the last 2 months against this. Everything else that all the other communication I've received, either via email or another form, has all been in favor of this. They recognize that we do need to take steps to work for our community. So I would ask you all to please think about it. And one last note I want to make, something I'd seen floating around on Facebook was that there was something like 244 units, apartments available within a 1-mile radius. I reached out to get verified information, and I found out there's a total of 40 currently, which can change in a transient community. There's 44 vacancies within a 1-mile radius, and that is not just apartments. That's actually a mixture of apartments and single-family homes. What you're looking at here is 72 units. You're looking at 32 single and 40 2-bedroom. And like was referenced by the council person for Ward 5, I believe that was who was talking about it, is that you're looking at people that are going to live on your own, which I lived when I was in college. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's beneficial to me to not have a roommate. I thoroughly enjoyed living by myself. I don't think it made me a bad person. I don't think I created crime by doing that. And then you're looking at 40 that are 2-bedroom. So you're talking about 112 beds, and you do have 125 spaces. So right now, what I'm asking you all is please look at this, think about this, and consider voting in favor of this, because we're also hearing about land being taken out in other areas and going to sprawl. This is a way to do infill development. So I would ask you to really consider your vote and consider voting in favor of this.
Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Powers. I understand what you and your group are trying to do, and I really do appreciate it. And I agreed with a large portion of what you said tonight. My concern is, and always has been, as we discussed, that injection of investment that you're looking to put into that area comes in the form of the highest residential density that we could possibly put there. All of that in the face of the surrounding community that is clearly very much opposed to it, and their voices count too. And for that reason, I have to vote no. To the residents of Manning Heights, by the way, the views expressed by this council member do not reflect the RPC. These are personal views. It is unrealistic to expect that this property is not going to be developed at some point. Personally, it should not be R1, okay? R1 is a low-density residential zoning, and we're right across the street from like highway, arterial, commercial. It should not be R1. Currently, it's a peninsula of low-density residential surrounded on 3 sides by commercial properties. I'm a no vote tonight but I can't say that I would be a no vote if it came back as a PUD next year. I can't say that I would be a no vote if it came as C2 or some sort of lower density multifamily housing. At some point, the needs of the city to provide a mix of housing stock across all income brackets and all household makeups has got to be considered. I think we all know that these owners are experienced, they're motivated, and they've been very open about what they want to do. They're showing us a plan. If this is C2, if this is, there's R6 just right across the street, I don't think you're going to get what you're hoping for, because you might have fewer units, but those units are going to have 2 or 3 bedrooms. Like I said, my personal opinion, I think it's coming. I think the need for additional housing stock, especially in that part of town, is going to reach the point where this council or some version of this council makes the hard choice and votes to pass this thing. I don't think that we're there yet, but I can see us getting there pretty soon. And that's what I have to say about that. Thank you.
Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just so for the audience, I don't know if you could see the map or not, but like the green highlighted is like the food desert area. So I live like smack dab in the middle of this one at the south. And so, you know, I keep hearing these government entities tell me that I live in a food desert, and, you know, it doesn't matter if you want it or not. You know, the government knows what's best for you. But I can promise you, if I walked up and down my street and asked them, like, hey, do you think you live in a food desert? They would probably say, no, we don't live in a food desert. Food line's just up the road. But that being said, I just don't see that as a valid argument, because it's like, you live in a food desert, we're going to build up all these apartments, and you're going to get a grocery store, whether you like it or not. I mean, like, that's just not, I just don't think that's effective representative government. As far as the growth goes, when are we going to say Clarksville's full? Like, why is it so bad to try to, like, turn back the knobs on all the development? Like, why can't we just build a really cool society? Like, I don't really understand, like, what's wrong with that? Because we are definitely getting to the point of Clarksville's full. But as far as this vote goes, I'm definitely going to vote no. And so the way I see it is, I've listened to y'all, and I've heard from Ward 6, I've heard from Ward 7, I've heard from other random areas around the city as well that are against it. This is a vote of profit versus people. And that's something that we really need to pay attention to. It's just something it's a hard vote, no matter how you vote. But it's about someone making profit, or the people and the residents and what Clarksville wants. And I do feel very strongly, if we put this towards a referendum, that it would not pass. But that's all I've got. Thank you.
Councilman Peters, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say that basically I agree with what the councilman for Ward 1 said. I think the time is coming, but I just don't think that time is now. And one of the things I keep hearing repeated kind of irritates me a little bit, because everybody's talking about it's going to increase taxes, you know, the money taken in. We should never consider how much money we're going to get on taxes to approve a development. That should never be a consideration. I just disagree with that completely. When we do that, that's like selling your soul, in my opinion. I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and vote for something just because of the amount of taxes it's going to give the city. If it's not right for the city, it's not right for the city. I hear comments about traffic control signal devices, you know, speed bumps put in, all this kind of stuff. That's not the issue there. The issue is you'll have too much traffic flowing through that street. I went up there, I don't know, it's probably during our last month ago, and I picked 8 spots along Manning Heights. And I even, a couple of neighbors come out and we talked about it. Of those 8 spots, I averaged them out, and they averaged 11 feet, 3 inches wide. That's what I come up with, and the lady who spoke tonight, she agreed with that, was saying 11 feet. So we're about 3 inches different. That's a lot closer than 18 feet or whatever you want to say. So I just don't think that this can go forward. The residents are here. Not only are they here, they voice concerns through emails. We got to listen to the people. The people know what's best for their neighborhood. If I could go back and move time backwards, I would wish that we wouldn't have done some of the things we've done in my neighborhood, because I live on a 1.7 mile road. It's got 8 subdivisions and another new one and another duplex coming into it with schools and churches and post office, and I don't know how you can keep supporting that. So I'm not going to be a fan and approve something that's going to take away the quality of life that the residents enjoy. I've been up in that area, and I think that's a peaceful community up there, and I don't want to be responsible for disturbing that. But like the councilman said earlier, it's going to come to a point where we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to make the hard choice. I just don't think that time's now. I think that the PUD is a great opportunity. I don't want to take away from that, but I just don't think that's the right location. So for that reason, I'm going to be voting no. Thank you.
Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to first say I'm going to piggyback off of the Councilman Forward one. When I first saw this on the agenda, I thought the PUD was really cool because we saw everything that was going to be built, obviously up to a 10% variance, and it was different than R6 because if we were to have rezoned it to R6, it would be a surprise. But once the emails and the phone calls and me going out to Manning Heights and Edge Hill and talking to the residents, yeah, I mean, I was getting phone calls and emails from my ward. I've talked to our police department and talked to, it's not a lot of crashes, but I mean, last year we had 10 crashes in the Edge Hill and Riverside Drive intersection. Obviously, it'll increase if we have 72 units added to that intersection there, but 10 crashes too many is what I think. But I just, along with what everyone else is saying, I was elected by the people, and so my voice is going to be for the people. My vote will be no tonight. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Call for the question.
Any objection to the question? Is there any objection to ceasing discussion? Okay, we're going to put it on the board. This is a non-debatable motion to cease discussion on ordinance 52. It requires 2/3 of us voting, which is 8 of us. So as soon as the clerk is ready, we'll be voting on the question or to cease discussion on ordinance 52. There it is. Okay. All members, please cast your vote. We're voting to cease discussion on ordinance 52. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
10 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
The motion to cease discussion passes. We are now voting on ordinance 52. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
4 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 52 fails. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 57, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Rita Home Builders Incorporated for a zone change on the property fronting on the north frontage of Airport Road, 155 plus or minus feet east of the eastern intersection.
Hang on just a second, if you would. Ladies and gentlemen, please be quiet as you file out. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized. Start over, would you please?
Thank you. Ordinance 57, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders Incorporated for a zone change on property fronting on the north frontage of Airport Road, 155 plus or minus feet east of the eastern intersection of Airport Road and Tandy Drive from R4 Multiple Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 57. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 57? Seeing none, hearing Councilperson Haywood. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, go ahead. I'll recognize you. If you want to, you're recognized.
I call for the question.
All right. Any comment or question on ordinance 57? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 57 passes. First reading. Councilman Streetman.
Ordinance 58, 2024, 25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Infinity Investment LLC for a zone change on a parcel located at the southeastern corner of Hillsborough Road and Banks Drive from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended disapproval. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this ordinance. Councilman Streetman.
I make a motion that we, per the applicant's request, that we send this back to the Regional Planning Commission to be reconsidered as R2A.
Motion been made and properly seconded to re-refer to the Regional Planning Commission. Any comment or question regarding that motion? Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
The motion to refer ordinance 58 back to the Regional Planning Commission passes. Councilman Streetman.
Ordinance 59, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mike Greenfield for a zone change on a tract of land south of the Ashland City Road and Chesterfield Drive intersection from C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District R4 Multiple Family Residential District to M1 Light Industrial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommend approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 59. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I went out by there this past Monday and looked, and then I had one question. The only question was about the wetland, and I had an extensive conversation with Clay Greenfield, and he has completely satisfied me with my questions. And this is a road that'll handle the traffic. His hours fit right in, so I would definitely recommend this.
Thank you. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I too am in favor of this. The fact that there's quite a lot of area that can't be developed in the back creates that barrier from the homes that are located along there. To me, this is one that just made sense, and I think it's a good opportunity for a business that's been with us for a long time in this community, and I have no doubt that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, so I'm supportive of this measure.
Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an easy one. I will be voting yes. Thank you.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe the only concern that some of the residents behind it may have would be, I think the trucks coming in a little bit later in the evening and the backup alarms or something. I just would say that, take that into consideration when you are coming in and out. That there are some neighbors on the backside that may hear something, but I'm in favor of it also.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 59? Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 59 passes first reading. Councilman Streetman.
Ordinance 60, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for a zone change on a property west of Summerfield Drive, south of Barbie Lane, north of Silver Star Drive, from R1A Single Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. The Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended disapproval. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 60. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I will say that this one, while it did come out with a disapproval from the Regional Planning Commission, it was a very close vote on it. If you look at the actual slides that are included in there, you can see where you've got the the two lots that are directly across from it. If you were to divide this lot into two lots, which is exactly what the applicant is asking to do, and what all that they would be able to do with the zoning. They could go from one lot to two lots. So instead of one house, they'd be able to build two, and they'd be the same width as the two lots that are across the street. This is not a huge jump going from R1A to R2A. To me, this one is one that makes sense, and again, was why I voted in favor of it, and was not alone on the Regional Planning Commission with that vote as well. So I'll be voting in favor of it tonight, and I would ask that you all at least just take that quick moment to look at it and see what I'm referring to. Thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 60? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
6 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 60 fails for lack of a majority. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 61, 2024, 25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of RL Home LLC for a zone change on a property south of Britton Springs Road, east of Center Road, from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 61. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 61? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
10 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 61 passes. First reading. Councilman Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. We're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 49, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property from the River Chase Marine Terminal property to the city of Clarksville for the purpose of a sewer pump station. Ordinance 50, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, Title 13, Utilities and Service, Chapter 3, Gas, Water, and Sewer Service, to add a new section 13-327 pertaining to advertising, logos, emblems, etc. on city water towers. Resolution 42, 2024-25, a resolution approving appointments to the ACT Authority, Community Health Foundation, and Human Relations Commission. Resolution 43, 2024-25, a resolution approving a retail liquor store certificate of compliance for Blast Spirits, doing business as 931 Wine and Spirits, and repealing the certificate of compliance for Blast Spirits, doing business as 931 Wine and Spirits, and the adoption of minutes for February 6th and February 18th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion and a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the consent agenda. Didn't mean to interrupt. Anybody wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The consent agenda is adopted. We're now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 55, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property from the Main Street Investments Tennessee Group property to the city of Clarksville for the purpose of a sewer pump station. Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 55. Any comment or question regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
That was close, Mr. Riggins. Ordinance 55 passes first reading. Chairman Streetman.
That concludes my much shorter report than the last one.
All right, thank you very much. The chairman of the Gas and Water Committee, Chairman McLaughlin, gave her report at our executive committee. So we'll move on to the Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. Chairman Shekina, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. For the Community, Neighborhood, and Services Committee report, our next meeting will be on the 10th of March, Monday, at 4:30 p.m. on the fourth floor of the conference room of the City Hall. The agenda items will include an overview of the 2025 through 2029 comprehensive plan, as well as the reports for the emergency service grants awards. We have 2 public input meetings for the department, and we have plans for the development of the community input, which is open through the 23rd of March, 2025. So all suggestions and questions are welcome, and they may be submitted in writing at community@cityofclarksville.com. So the link for those submissions, community@cityofclarksville.com. Community and Neighborhood Services would like to thank United Way and all of the members of the Clarksville Montgomery County Volunteers Association who responded in support of supporting 100-plus residents seeking assistance after the 15th and 16th February flash floods. Cleaning and repairs to homes are ongoing. This is only possible with the thanks of the community through volunteer hours and donations. If residents are interested in supporting their neighbors, we invite them to visit cmcresponds.org. That's cmcresponds.org. The Clarksville Homeless Coalition meeting for the 4th of March was postponed. Our next meeting is going to be on the 1st of April at 2 p.m. at YAPEC Outreach. Follow Clarksville Neighborhood and Community Services on Facebook for more information on these and other topics. This concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're now ready for the Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me, I've got to put on my war face for this first one. It's fun, it's cute, and it's back. Don't miss the preschool prom where your little ones can dress up and dance in a magical masquerade setting. Thank you, Lee, for the wording. I appreciate that. This delightful celebration features lively music, colorful decorations, and exciting activities for children ages 2 to 5. Tickets are required for children, but accompanying adults can attend for free. Join us in an unforgettable day of sweet moments on March 22nd from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Crow Recreation Center. Mark your calendars for the 2025 Fit Fest on April 12th at the Wilma Rudolph Event Center. This exciting new event promises fun for all ages and fitness levels with a 1-mile fun run, fitness expo, outdoor ninja obstacle course, and sunset yoga. Fit Fest has something for everyone. Don't miss it. The Civil War artifact display will be held on April 12th at Fort Defiance from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Local collectors will display their Civil War collections, and John Walsh from Fort Donaldson Relics will bring items that are rarely on display to the public. Also, patrons can bring their own historical items to the fort and learn more about their treasures from the experts. Also, if you are interested in joining the best team in the city, sorry, Mr. Riggins, Parks and Rec is hiring. If you're looking to join our team as a ground and facilities maintenance assistant or a recreation center assistant manager, please inquire at clarksvilleparksrec.com, where you can also find a complete list of programs, classes, and ongoing activities. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions regarding this committee report? We're now ready for Public Safety Committee. Chairman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. To start with, Building and Codes, their February 2025 numbers. Construction Division did over 2,400 total inspections. Their Code Enforcement Division did 163 new cases. The Abatement Division did 13 work orders, and their total revenue generated was over $257,000. They also named their Employee of the Year, who is Richie Jovia. They are also kicking off their yearly United Way fundraiser with a March Step Challenge, and they have 18 employees participating. For Clarksville Fire and Rescue, they want to remind our citizens that they are hiring and taking applications through the end of March, and you can fill out that application online. They also celebrated their Employee of the Year. Captain Robert Forrest was recognized as the all-over CFR employee, and firefighter Gracie Hudson was recognized by ServPro and presented with a championship ring for winning her district and age group in the National Firefighter Combat Challenge competition. For Clarksville Police Department, on Friday, February 28th, we celebrated the retirement of Chief Cockrell and welcomed our new police chief, Chief Burdine. They have 8 additional officers, and they are, 14 under, we only need 14 more to be fully staffed. That's what that means. Promoted internally for the maintenance supervisor position, Walter Stevenson was selected against several external candidates. This is a very important position, so congratulations. And lastly, we want to recognize our civilian intelligence analyst, Cameron Plunkett. That concludes my report.
Okay, any more comment or question regarding this committee report? We're now ready for Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. Chairman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm on.
You're on.
I'm on, okay. The
Hold it
TSG.
a little closer if you don't mind.
Thank you. The TSG reports are as follows for the month of February. Transportation transported a total of 38,328 riders. And on the fixed route, the total riders was 34,853, which included 6,327 seniors who rode for free. Also, on paratransit buses, there were 3,475 riders. We will now look at the street department for the month of February. On March the 10th, construction on the Ringo Road sidewalks will begin. Also, final pavement on Whitfield Road and Nemo Roads will be completed on March the 10th. Construction is now in progress for Rossview Road and Dunbar Cave improvements. Bids are now open, bids are now beginning to open, which will start on March the 14th for Spring Creek Parkway, which is Phase 2, connecting it to Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Also, bids for Hazelwood sidewalks will begin on March the 21st. We will now move on to the city garage. There was a total of work orders of 399, and then the fuel purchased by the city garage in February for on-site fuels are as follows. Unleaded gas total, a total of $89,226 for unleaded gas, and that was for total gallons of 40,000 gallons. I believe that's right, 40,581 gallons. Diesel total cost, gas was $30,508. That was for total gallons of 12,065. Fuel costs for unleaded decreased by 7.5%. It was $2.25. Now it is $2.08 per gallon. The last delivery was January 27, 2025. Fuel costs for diesel decreased by 3%. It was $2.57. It is now $2.49 per gallon. This concludes my reports. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
Yeah, my question was about the Hazelwood sidewalk bid. Which project was this? Was it the one? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, baby.
No, you were going to tell me.
No.
Go ahead and ask your question.
The Hazelwood sidewalk project. Which project was it? Is the one all the way down Hazelwood, or was it just from Needmore to right past Pisgah?
That's a good question, and it doesn't specify. It just said Hazelwood sidewalks. The bids were open for on March the 21st, but I assume, and I'm just assuming this, it could be the ones near the school.
Okay.
That's where we're starting our sidewalks at. We're trying to make sure that around all schools that sidewalks are prevalent and they're there and erected for the children to get across to their neighborhoods.
Okay.
So, but if you want to know more about that, call the street department and speak with Chris Cowan, who can give you specific information if that's not correct, okay?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
For that
And that is
question.
correct. That is
That is
correct.
correct? Okay.
Councilman Chandler, you recognized?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank the street department. About 3 weeks ago, brought to my attention on Dover Crossing, turning to go on Dover Road. All of the turn arrows, the stop bars, everything was completely eliminated. People were about to run all over each other. And one phone call, and they had it fixed within 2 weeks. So I really appreciate the weather we've had and everything. I really appreciate the job they've done.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. We got the best people. Any more comment or question regarding this committee report? All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next item is new business, and these two things go together. We find ourselves in a situation where the Beer Board has lost 2 members, thus requiring we appoint 2 new members. One member moved out of town, out of the city limits, and the other member, we sadly lost the chairman of the Beer Board by he died suddenly last Sunday. Retired Police Sergeant J.W. Hunt passed away, and he was the chairman of the Beer Board, so we find ourselves without a quorum and unable to act on applications. So the first item is merely the consideration, because it was not listed on our executive committee agenda, consideration of Resolution 44, which would appoint members to the Beer Board. In order to approve that, as the clerk has noted on our agenda, we'd need a 3/4 majority vote, and then we can take up the resolution to appoint members. So I would entertain a motion and a second to consider Resolution 44. Motion been made and properly seconded. Any question or comment regarding the motion to consider Resolution 44?
I have a question.
You are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. How would you go about appointing people to this board? Or can we give you some offers of some people, or?
Well, we've got a resolution that'll appoint a couple of people right after we consider, if we take this up, and that'll give them a quorum or a full board, and then you are ask people to, if they want to, and we put the word out, and believe it or not, we got a bunch of folks that were interested.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comment or question regarding the motion to consider Resolution 44? Okay, are you ready to vote on the motion to consider? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The motion to consider passes. We are now on Resolution 44, 2024-25, a resolution approving appointments to the Beer Board. I'll entertain a motion in a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 44. Any comment or question? Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. My comment was more in reference to they've got really big shoes to fill with the loss of Mr. Hunt. He was a great, great man, and I know this community is going to miss him greatly. And while I hate the reason one of those seats is open, I am happy to be able to support both of these nominees that you've brought before us. I just didn't want to miss that opportunity while it was before us.
Thank you. Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Yes, as those of us who've been around a while remember Sergeant Hunt, always smiling. I was at the Beer Board meeting when he wasn't able to make it, and I just appreciate the mayor getting the word out quick to where we can get that Beer Board filled. So we've got these businesses that are trying to open, that they'll be able to possibly get those permits before they open. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Smith, you're
Thank you,
recognized.
Mayor. I just want to say that Mr. Hunt was a friend of mine, and the last time I saw him, he paid for my food. It was a group of us, and I was like, no, don't pay for my food. I can pay for my food. He said, no, I got this. Be quiet. I was like, okay. So he was a great person to work with. He's always tried to be on duty and do what he needed to do to support this city. And so I send my condolences on behalf of this city council to the family, because he will be missed in the community of this city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. He devoted his life in service of this city. Any more comment or question regarding Resolution 44? Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 44 is adopted. We're now ready for mayor and council member comments. Anybody wish to make a comment? I will remind the council that their required Title VI training, the clerk sent out an email with the link to the Cody training online, so please do that, so we'll be in compliance. Okay, if you're not sure, please check with the clerk. Anything else from the council? I entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we're adjourned.